Good afternoon. I'd like to encourage you. I'm on the radio. I'm having my own radio show today, and we're going to dissect Jimmy Himes' picks. He was only 80%, which is unexcusable. So we're gonna dissect that today. But I want to say happy spring, and it's always an honor to come and speak Tennessee football with you here today. And I was going to kind of give you kind of an update of the program, where we're at, and then answer any questions you may have. But everyone asks me at this time of the year, what are you doing? Does it slow down for you? And actually, this is the busiest time of the year for us in our football program and our football organization. We're trying to do many things. First of all, concluding a very successful recruiting class, but we're already on to assembling next year's recruiting class. We have a number of commitments, and we already have had a number of junior days. This Saturday is going to be critical for us to have everyone at the basketball game. We're kind of crunched for time because it being a noon tip-off, but we will have a recruiting day. And because we have to get everything in, the Thornton Center academics, our great facilities, and spend time with our coaches, we'll only be there for the first half, but I know we're looking forward to it. And everything is first impressions. And for a lot of these individuals coming to Knoxville, this will be their first visit to campus. So I know they're looking forward to watching our basketball game and watching our crowd and seeing how we support the Big Orange and everything that we do. So right now, recruiting is in full swing. The next thing we're going through is the development of this year's Team 118 in our football team. And really, your toughness, your football team is born in these months, and we're going through our strength and conditioning program to give you kind of a little bit of where we're at. As you know, we were senior dominated in the offensive and defensive lines, but when we walked in the doors here, even with the veteran group, we had 0 individuals in our football program that could squat over 600 pounds. And in a 1 year's time, we have 9. So we've taken great strides. We're nowhere where we need to be in terms of our strength levels, but our kids are doing a significant job at getting better, and we're increasing those strength totals. Also, this is where the mindset and mentality of your football team is born. So we do what we call standard periods, and that's living up to the Tennessee standard by which we're going to play. And those are really mental toughness conditioning drills. We have 7 stations. They last about 3 minutes a piece, and they're not allowed to put their hands on their hips or any surrender position, and we're conditioning the mind to push through adversity and trying to teach us how to persevere and handle sudden change. And our last one was this past Monday, and I really didn't like the temperament by which we approached it. We were enduring it instead of embracing it. So when we got done, I believe in sudden change because football is life, just sped up a lot faster, so we went into overtime. And then when that was done, we went into double overtime. And then we finished, and I thought our kids finished exceptionally well. So we're developing our current team, then we're getting ready for spring ball, which starts less than 2 weeks. So we're working on our practice schedules. Everything that we do is scripted. It takes about 6 hours of work in terms of a coach to get ready for one practice. And then everything is about quality control. We look at everything in our program from A to Z, from personnel to schemes. And then we bring coaches in as well. Last week we welcomed 4 other universities to our campus, and we had an offensive clinic. And we just talk offensive football, and our defensive coaches have been going around the country. I have a couple head coaches in today that are coming to see, just talk football and managing, 105 young adults and kind of going through our schedules and team building. And then, that leads me to the next thing, which is critical, is your team building, your team chemistry. And that's really where that's born right now. And then our academic achievement. And, we're making great strides. 5 and 7 is unacceptable. We never tolerate losing here at Tennessee. But I can see great strides. And you look at where we've come academically. The academic report came out for football a couple weeks ago, and we were number 2 in our conference in our academic success rate, the honor roll. And so we were number 2 in the conference, which I think is a great feat for our players. They're doing exceptionally well in the classroom. Right now, we've logged over, I believe, 4,200 community service hours, which is very big as well, because one of our team goals is to be champions in our community, and it's part of our growth. It's part of our character education program that we talk about. And then every Wednesdays we have speakers that come in around the country for their own, again, personal growth and development and our character education program. So we'll have another speaker today. 2 days ago we welcomed Tim Elmore, which is a dynamic speaker, and I tell you what, I learned more in that session. They met with our student athletes on leadership, and I'll give you an example of what they talked about. He walks up in the room and he's got a picture, and your life is either a river or your life is a flood. What is it? And if you look at a river goes one way, and it's bounded by banks, and it's constantly flowing, and that symbolizes focus with everything that you're doing. A lot of these young adults have floods. They have everything coming at them, and their water's overflowing. And you know, when they talked about the generation of today that we're coaching, it is completely different than what you and I have grown up in. Completely different. And he gave us the reasons why. And it's really, it's mind-boggling of right there. You know, and these young adults have over, their minds are cluttered with over 1,000 messages a day from Twitter, Facebook, emails, fans, message boards, phone calls, and a lot of them can't handle the magnitude. We talked about cell phones. Believe it or not, I didn't know this, 40% of all college students now shower with their cell phone. So when I went home last night, the kids in the Jones household had to hand their cell phones in. But it's really amazing of what, you know, of what these kids are now being brought up on in parents, and where parents have failed. You know, and we live in today's world where if you participate in any sport, you get a trophy, you get a ribbon, whether you earned it or didn't earn it. So what does that bring? That brings entitlement. You know, and then, you know, my wife is to blame, and I get yelled at all the time, but we're constantly reinforcing to our kids how great they are because we're worried about their self-esteem. But really what happens is that these kids now start to get a false sense of, well, I really haven't done anything, so I don't have to work hard anymore. And so now that's again where the entitlement comes in. And a lot of things, you know, I started to have a checklist for me just as a parent. But I could really see, you know, all the correlations that we deal with on a daily basis. You know, you have, you know, they tell a story that there's a young man in an admissions interview this past year at Harvard, and he's being interviewed, and the individual doing the interview thinks his parents have trained him well, because every question he looks the person in the eye, he answers it, and then he looks down, and then he goes, well, what he had is, on one cell phone, he had on speaker, and his mother was listening. The other cell phone, the mother was texting him the answers to the question. And this is the world, you know, you talk about motivating young adults each and every day, you know, and the passion and the energy that it takes. You know, so those are some of the things that are going on in our football program. We have 14 newcomers in this year's signing class, and I will tell you this, they have absolutely changed the landscape of our football program. They've changed the competitive dynamics in our football program. All 14 are doing very, very good academically, and you talk about the maturity that it takes. Here are 17-year-old individuals that should be entering their last semester of high school, and they're all of a sudden at a university like the University of Tennessee taking a full academic workload. In our strength and conditioning program, everything has changed for them. Their friends, where they live, how you manage your schedule, your time management. You're away from your families, and they've done a great job, and they've had another dynamic. They're extremely competitive, and the great thing is our older players in our football program have embraced them. And I knew we had something pretty special when the first night of classes we had a team meeting, and I had all 14 individuals come down in a team setting like this, you know, 80 some odd individuals in a room, and I made every single one of the 14 individuals introduce themselves. where they are from, what position they played, and why they chose the University of Tennessee and what their major was. And when the 14th individual went, the entire rest of our football team gave them a standing ovation, and they welcomed them. And so they've done a great job. I think they're learning as we go in terms of the mentality that it takes, the consistency and performance that we talk about. In 6 weeks, we have what's called the bod pod. It's a little kind of, you can become claustrophobic. They sit you in this little thing, and they close the door, and it measures your body fat and your muscle. And I will tell you this, when we do it, I run the other way because I put on about 20 pounds from recruiting. But they have gained 98 pounds of muscle in 6 weeks just being here. Our football team, since we started before the holidays, they've dropped 270 some odd pounds of fat and have gained 340 pounds of muscle. And so again, you can see the progress that we're making each and every day. So I am fired up. I see your Reds jacket, and two of their owners are my two very best friends. And opening day is very special in Cincinnati, and those owners of the Reds have also turned into big Tennessee fans. So it's been great to see. But again, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you today, and I'll answer any questions that you may have.
I noticed that some of your other coaches in the SEC, the recruiting seems to be changing. There's a couple of 8th graders that are committed. And I was just curious as to how far out you were.
Well, you know, recruiting is a constant, never-ending process. And, you know, we're recruiting anyone and everyone. And so we live it every day. Our days are structured where we spend 2 to 3 hours per day recruiting. Our coach is still in the off season. They're not leaving the building till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night because we can't call them, but they can call us. So we know about just about everyone. The big thing are these junior days of getting these individuals to campus. But what you see is a change, what you're speaking about in recruiting. Now we're getting 8th graders, 9th graders coming. You know, to me, the maturation process from an 8th grader to a 12th grader, that's a long period of time. So what I would tell those parents, if they commit to that school, try to get it in writing that they're promised that scholarship, because a lot can happen in those years.
What's your take on the argument about fast play versus slow play?
Well, I've been pretty outspoken about it. I don't think it has anything to do with the safety of our game. I think it has to do with coaches' personal preferences. You know, what I want to do is I want to see all the information that's available to see if there is a correlation between injuries, and I'm all for making our great game as safe as it can possibly be. I'm a big proponent on that. But, you know, we've been part of a program that's done something like this for a number of years, and I've never seen a direct correlation at all. I think it's a great equalizer. I think it's the equivalent of telling a basketball team that they can't full court press. You know, all those coaches that are in favor of it, I would like to see the first game when they're down by 14 points and there's 6 minutes to go in the game and they can't run a hurry-up offense. I think it proposes great danger to the quarterbacks because it now becomes advantageous for the defense because now they can disguise more and confuse the quarterback. So I think that there's a lot of things. If we want to promote the safety of the game, I think we need to explore the punt return game. I think the most difficult skill in all of sport is to catch a punt in front of 100,000 people with a 4.0 hang time, and you got 9 guys running down to tackle them. And if we want to correct the game, I think we look at the kickoffs and we look at the punt return and we continue to improve our game. But, you know, I'm all for cleaning the game up and making it safe, but I want to see evidence before we make any, you know, major changes like that to the game of football. Now, if they want to limit blitzes and make it safe and you're only allowed 4 blitzes a game and clean it up, hey, I'm all for that as well.
My question is this, a returning letterman maybe were redshirted or out for injury, what kind of reports have been that you've received on how they're doing over the winter, and who should we expect to be?
Well, I think the biggest individual who's made the biggest strides is Kurt Majit. Hands down, he is our heart and soul of our football team. He's our leader. He's very dynamic. He's back. He's exceptionally healthy. Now he's gained a lot of muscle and put some weight on, so I think you'll see him kind of as an outside linebacker, rush the passer. He's probably the biggest one that has made tremendous strides of being injured last year, that we welcome him back. He's 100% healthy. You know, some of our younger defensive linemen, there's a young man by the name of Kendall Vickers, who's out of North Carolina. He was a high school teammate to Darrell Scott, the running back that we signed. He's put on about 40 pounds, and he looks outstanding. He's a defensive lineman, and as we know, we're going to have to play a lot of young defensive linemen this year. So those are two individuals that really, really come to mind that done a great job of preparing themselves for this spring ball.
Speaking of Kurt Majid and the younger players, is there any update on the situation from a couple weeks ago with the police or the authorities? How are you handling that?
Well, you know, first of all, let me quantify by saying this. I grew up in a house of a police chief. So we have a tremendous working relationship with all the law enforcement agencies around here. And so actually growing up, my dad was my hero and I wanted to be a police officer. So we have tremendous relationships. Everything is about choices. You know, these were, 21, 19-year-old individuals that, got caught up and made some poor choices. So we'll deal with it appropriately inside. I will handle that myself and work through our athletic department, but everything also is a teaching opportunity. And our players understand, and we have great character kids in our program. And that's the sad thing is they make a bad choice, and it's the talk in this town for a month in the front page of the papers. But what about us winning in the community with community service? That's the back page. Everyone wants to report the bad. Nobody really wants to talk about the good. We have too much positive energy surrounding our athletic programs right now. And, I treat all of our players like they're my sons. That's an educational opportunity. But I promise you this, the punishment will be swift, it'll be fair, and they will understand to make the right choices. I promise you that. So. Anything else?
It's been well documented about your 32-man recruiting effort, how broad-based it was. If you could look at specific needs that you really had to fill other than possibly an offensive line, what might have been accomplished with this recruiting effort?
Well, first of all, we have what's called a recruiting profile, and it's very, very in-depth. And it starts with the character of the young man. It starts with their family upbringing, their families involved. It starts with their academics, and their passion to earn a college degree. Then it talks about their competitive nature. That's the big thing, is we want individuals that are tremendous competitors, not only on the field but off the field. They treat academics as a competitive arena as well, to be the best that they can possibly be. And I think, we talked about that with our speaker a couple days ago, passion and energy. The love for the game, because you must love what you're doing, because it's a year round. There are no breaks. And also, I wanted individuals that wanted to be at the University of Tennessee, that understand our football program, the traditions, the ideals, the expectations, but also what they're representing. Vol Nation, this great state. And that's not lip service. I truly mean that. And so we had a whole recruiting profile. I think it's no secret. The first thing is just our overall competitive makeup, is individuals who want to compete, creating depth at positions. But first of all was our team speed. It was below average. I joke about it, but everyone said, man, opening day press conference, what are you going to do with now being in the SEC and coaching all this speed? And we walked out the first couple days of practice, and our team at Cincinnati, our receivers, everyone could run 4.4. And that's just recruiting. So we had to recruit team speed. You'll really see the changes in special teams. So we felt we were able to address the Berry twins. We have them in camp. They both run 4.4s. They're going to help us just in terms of team speed, size, big-bodied individuals. we were able to do that. So, in players that we could develop, and then, you look at a Von Pearson and a Josh Malone, they've already paid dividends in our receiving core, our 2 tight ends. So we wanted big body guys that could run, really increase our athleticism and our team speed and genetics. You look at the 98 pounds of muscle that they've already put on. That's big as we continue to grow, and these individuals have a lot of years to develop. And we only have, when we talk about leadership development, that's also we only have 13 seniors. We may be the youngest football team in the country, so we're going to be young, we're going to be youthful, but we also should be pretty talented in terms of the youth that we're bringing in. And our coaches did a great job, and I think the other thing is with this recruiting class of 32, every single one of these individuals could have went to other SEC schools. They had multiple offers, and they stuck with their word, and very few of them even official visited other places. This was the closest knit group of a recruiting class that I'd ever been a part of. And that's a tribute to them and their word. And there were some catalysts, T.K. Kelly, Todd Kelly Jr. did a tremendous job. Vic Wharton did a tremendous job. And they all started recruiting each other. And the parents started recruiting each other. And this is what I try to get is when these individuals, just like we welcome these individuals for a junior day, or they come on an official visit, you'd be amazed at the amount of parents that will pull off at the Pilot gas station. They'll walk in, they'll act that they're lost, they'll ask directions, they want to see how the people in the community greet them, and they may say, hey, tell me about your football program. What do you think of it? I had a couple moms, they wanted to be dropped off at the mall, not to shop, but to really find out about the people in this community. And the people in this community have been a great asset and a great resource for us. And you, as Vol Nation, helped us solidify this recruiting class, and we'll continue to need your help in moving forward in 2015.
Have you noticed a difference in national perception of the University of Tennessee football since the first day or two that you tried to recruit to right now? Do people look at UT differently now?
Absolutely. The Power T is a very, very strong brand, and it's very humbling. When I walk into high schools, whether it's in the state of Tennessee or whether it's outside this state, I'll have the principal, the superintendent, teachers waiting for me at the front door. And when we walk into a high school, it is a big deal. And so, yes, our brand is very, very strong. I can assure you this, our brand is exceptionally strong within the state of Tennessee. We've really done a great job of really outreach to all the high school coaches and building relationships. We were in Nashville, our entire staff last week. We were part of that tornado that hit. We couldn't get back, but we were part of a coaches clinic, and we had over 250 high school coaches from the middle Tennessee, the mid-state area, come and spend an evening with us. We've been to Memphis. We've reached out all across the state. But to answer your question, yes, an offer from Tennessee means something. And I always say we have great things to sell here, but at the end of the day, people make a place. And we have tremendous people in place.
How many players do we expect to sign next year?
How many players do we expect to sign? Good question. Right now it changes. Last year at this time I told you 18, and then it grew to 22, and then 25, and then it was the most talked about how we were going to do it, and then it went to 32. But I expect to sign anywhere between 18 to 22 individuals in this signing class. But it's always in flux. It's ever changing.
What happens when a kid thinks he has a committal offer and makes an announcement and he finds out he doesn't? How does that play?
Well, for us, everything is about relationships and open dialogue and communication. And, there's some schools, there's a lot of young adults out there that want to be a part of what's going on. Everyone around the country knows it's only a matter of time. I can't tell you how many head coaches have called me and said, what are you guys doing? Everywhere we go, they talk about Tennessee. And so everyone in our industry, every coach knows each other. I really believe on the landscape, they only know it's a matter of time. And we just have to continue to work and recruit. There are some programs out there, it's the darndest thing I've ever heard of, but they'll offer a young man a scholarship and they'll say, we're offering you a scholarship, but it's uncommittable. So I don't know what that means. So it's a uncommittable offer. So I'm trying to figure out what that means. But we try to communicate, and our high school coaches do a great job of trying to educate kids, and that's the dangers of Twitter. Kids are emotional, and so that's why everything we do is open dialogue.
Coach, what can you do now in terms of, you can't call recruits, but can you communicate with them by text and other social media means? And my second question is, we haven't seen one of our quarterbacks yet. Comment on his development.
Okay. First of all, we're a little bit different than basketball in terms of the world of recruiting. We're not allowed to text message at all. But right now we're going through a phase in recruiting. We're not allowed to call prospective student athletes, but they can call us. But we're allowed to tweet them. We're in constant contact. We call high school coaches. They're allowed to get them on the phone, but we talk to our kids all the time. You can Facebook them, so there's different means, but nothing beats getting them on campus. That's the big thing. The last question is our quarterbacks. I'm excited. We'll have all of them for spring. The young man you're talking about is Riley Ferguson. He was injured last year, or he would have played. So we're excited to get him back. He has a very live arm. He can throw the football. The big thing for him is continuing to put weight on. He's still very, very frail and skinny, but he's done a great job. He has put weight on. But it's going to be a great quarterback battle, and I'm excited. But also, I don't think we did a great job last year, whoever our quarterback was, of making them look good. We need to be able to throw the ball out on a 5-yard hitch and be able to make somebody miss and turn a 5-yard pass into a 40-yard pass. And that gets back to team speed. So I think with the recruitment around the quarterback position, that'll make them better individually and collectively as a unit.
Coach, one thing that I'm proud of that's always bothered me is seeing all these other teams with stars from Tennessee, and you guys did a phenomenal job of closing the fences around the state. What's the key to that?
It's all relationships, and it's selling our vision, and it's persistence. The greatest example is the recruitment of Josh Malone. He wasn't coming here. He wasn't coming here. And one kind of funny story, you talk about how you're dealing with 17, 18-year-old young adults. So we lose to Vanderbilt, and I know that was a catastrophic loss for a number of reasons in terms of recruiting and some things like that. And, Josh is kind of sitting there, and he's got some other schools on him, and we're going to play Kentucky. And because he signed an institutional scholarship for him, we had some different things in terms of contact, but we're leaving to go to Kentucky on Friday, and he's got a number of schools coming in to visit him, and we're one of them, and then he's going to make his decision on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we did some different things in terms of the Gallatin Police Department that I'm very proud of, and it made him realize the importance of staying at home and what it means for an individual who's grown up in this great state to represent the Big Orange, and how that sets you up for future success, not just immediately but down the road. And you only get a chance to represent your home institution. And to me, that's very, very important, and that's one of the things we sold. Also, though, I wanted individuals that were extremely competitive, that wanted the onus on them and the pressure and the excitement to put Tennessee back to its rightful place among the elite of college football. And we had some individuals in the past, they didn't want that. They wanted to win right away, and they didn't want that. These individuals, they wanted the onus on them. Coach, we're going to be the class that turns it. And I like that. That's part of that competitive structure that we spoke about.
How long was he incarcerated before he signed?
No comment. And I want to end all speculation. He wasn't incarcerated, so.
One last question.
One last question.
Every game is important in the fall, but is there any one or two particular games you've got circled just in regards to matchup or
yes.
particularly looking
That's part of my gray hair right now, and every day I think about it is, we had the #1 most difficult schedule in the country, and I think this year may be even more difficult. And, right now we better understand that Utah State and Arkansas State are great football teams. Utah State's going to come in here, and they have a quarterback that may be the first player picked in the NFL draft next year. And he was hurt the last couple games of the year. So our first 3 games of the year against bowl opponents, I believe in our 12-game schedule, 9 of them played in bowl games. So, it's Utah State, it's Arkansas State. It may sound coach speak, but it's taking them 1 game at a time. But, a lot of those individuals, when they run through the tee, that opening game against Utah State, they'll be playing for the first time. So as a coach, that's why we're trying to create as many game-like situations from spring football to right now, to really kind of condition their mind. But all eyes are on our first game and our first game only. Okay, thank you. God bless and go Vols. Thank you.